Oh my gosh. Oh my. As y'all can see, we're going to have some fun. We are really going to have some fun. I want to welcome you all to our second episode. This is our second episode, y'all. Think about it.
Black people.
Black people.
Yes, yes, yes. And for those who don't know, I'm Lamar Anderson. This is a show that we put together to kind of talk about some of the topics that we thought are very important to our community as Black people. So I have a few different people who help me out with this on a regular basis. The topic we're going to be talking about today, first and foremost, if you have not seen our premiere episode, by all means, we want you all to check out that episode. It's a little bit lighter in regard to the topic we talked about on that. We were talking about, music and a few other things as well. We're going to get into some hot and heavy stuff as well. So we want to definitely talk about that. Like I said, I'm Lamar Anderson. Let me go ahead and shoot it to my team. Let them reintroduce themselves to you all, and we get into this topic. All right. So first up, let's go ahead and get it to E.
Hey, everybody. It's Erica Baird, just here, ready to talk about some key topics in the community, especially what's going on right now. So welcome.
All right. All right. All right. Let's check in with my girl, Michelle.
Yep. Once again, you got your girl, Michelle King, who is the queen, as if you didn't know. But most definitely ready to talk about it and help our people.
That's right. That's right. All right. Come on, Rut.
What's happening? What's happening? Your boy, Ruddy Rudd. I'm ready to get it started. Thank you for having me again, guys.
You know what it is. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. All right. Like I said before, we've had some very light topics we've talked about before. Today's topic is very, very serious, and one I think is going to help address some many issues that are going on with our society today, especially with Black people. And that topic is mental illness and mental health. The reason we selected this particular topic is because, unfortunately, with all the different things that are going on with COVID, with all the protests and the things that are happening based on the protests that happened to Mr. George Floyd. And if you've been under a rock, there have been a lot of protests that have happened nationally in regards to the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota. So one of the topics we thought we wanted to talk about was mental health and how it affects us as Black people because of our interaction with police officers. Now, I would like to preface all of this entire conversation by saying this. We personally believe that there are some amazing cops, police officers out there, amazing people who are part of law enforcement. There are good people and bad people, white people, Black people, all of the above. The people we are unfortunately addressing in this particular episode are bad police officers. We want to come up with some very tangible things that we can do in regards to the mental health that we feel that we're stressed that we have based on our interaction with police officers. So with that being said, we want to talk a little bit about our own personal experiences that we've had with bad experiences that we've had with police officers. And then we're going to give you all some practical solutions to some things that we can actually do to address some of our own mental health issues. All right, I'll go ahead and get that started. The area in the city that I was born and raised in is not a really wealthy area in the city of Peoria. And I can consistently remember, with me being a younger guy, being harassed by police officers. I had this one particular police officer who harassed me almost on a daily basis. And when I said harass me, he would come up to me and ask me for my name, my ID, detain me, all of the above. It got to the point that at one particular time, me and a group of my friends, we were leaving a party. Young people, we go out, we hang out, we're leaving a party. It's a little late. And I remember this police officer, along with some other police officers, driving up on us with their weapons out, not just detaining us, but questioning us and all of the above. So I can personally say that I have a very heightened anxiety against police officers. When I get into my vehicle, I personally believe I'm a pretty law-abiding citizen, but when I get into my car, I'm making sure my seatbelt's on. I'm making sure I'm driving at the speed limit. shifting, turning lane, hitting my turn signal for the lane changes and all of that stuff. And I don't think a lot of other people go through that, so I think that's something that definitely within our Black community, especially Black males, actually go through. So I definitely want to give you all a little insight about some of my anxiety that I have with law enforcement, and go ahead and shoot it to some of my other team, Erica. So you want to talk a little bit about yours?
Well, yeah, and I want to reiterate what Lamar was saying is this is not about good police officers. You guys know I've talked about, I sat on the police commission with the Community Against Violence and working with Chief Settings Guard on what can we do with the Black community to try to heal the relationships. And I know that he wanted to heal the relationships. He wanted to hear our voice and he wanted to see what was going on. And so I'm passionate about good police officers. I think you guys all of you know, I was a foster parent for years, and I've stood on the porch with police officers and prayed when my foster children were on run due to some of their mental health issues. So I'm glad we're going to talk about mental health, not only now, but in future episodes. But I think from a police perspective, there are still police that give other great police officers a bad name. And some examples I shared with numerous peoples, and I shared this when I was sitting on that committee. One day I walked out of Caterpillar. I was leaving work. I walked, and I was working on a Saturday. My car was parked right in front, right by the courthouse. I walk out of the Caterpillar building, walk straight over to my car, and I get in my car and I start driving. And I haven't even made it a block. I saw the police officer, and in my gut, I was like, please don't let him follow me today. And that's exactly what he did. I went straight to the next light, and because I knew he was gonna be right on my rear, I followed all the laws, and he pulled me over, and he wanted to know what I was doing with a car like that. And so I had to I brought that before the committee. But I think the ones that really traumatized me are the ones that really had to do with my children. And when my son was captain, he was a part of the state basketball team that went to state. And he was a junior that year, and all of the basketball players, all the kids grew up together, white, Black. They went to Weston Doty's camp. They went to Curly Boo's camp. These kids were boys. They played together. They hung out together. Whether they were at basketball or out, it didn't matter. And my son was top 10 of his class. When they played Washington, the agreement was it didn't matter whether or not Washington won or whether or not Peoria High won. The party was going to be in Washington because one of the kids' families had a nice pool. So everyone wanted to go over for a pool party. My son called me at 1 a.m, afraid, because the party was over, everyone was heading back to town. The police were lined up outside of Washington, and they pulled over every single one of our Black athletes, and they ticketed those boys. And I was so afraid, and I'm jumping up and I'm jumping in my car, and I'm like, stay on the phone with me. Mom's on the way. I'm afraid they're going to kill my son. I brought that to the committee because they shouldn't have to worry about that. And then just recently, my daughter last year, she was at the state championship. She was a cheerleader, and she was helping raise money for cheering for Peoria High so that the cheerleaders could go on and compete in all of these cheer competitions. They were macing the Black kids. It was a good police officer. They said, what are you here for? Get to moving, get to moving. My daughter was like, I was down here with my cheer squad selling money, doing a fundraiser. My mom is on her way. I've already called. She's picking me up right here. And they were like, I don't care where your mom's picking you up. And they were macing kids. A police officer had to come over and say, leave her alone. She's a good kid. She's telling you the truth. And her mom is a pillar in society. You probably don't want to mess with this kid, because if her mom puts it on the news, it's going to be looked at. And so they kind of backed off of my daughter, but they didn't back off of the other kids. And they maced Black kids for just standing, waiting for their ride. They didn't mace the other children. My daughter just spoke about this over at an event downtown. So I think it's real, because as a mom, I had to fear for my son, and had Chris not been there as a police officer to tell them my daughter was good, my daughter would have been maced. And that scares me. I do, and that's why I do want to talk about mental health, Michelle.
Thank you very much. All right, Rudd, go ahead and talk a little bit about your situations or any situations that you've had that you think contributed to the mental health.
Sure. I'll go with a recent incident, and I posted it on Facebook when it happened. I was taking my sister. I came home. My sister, she had cancer. Now she doesn't. Praise. So I was taking her to her treatment. And on the way back from Chicago, soon as I got, I think it was Pontiac, that Pontiac area, I think that's where it's at, that Pontiac area. Now, mind you, 20 years plus in Arizona living, I'm used to their highway laws. I come back here, mentality, Arizona highway laws, get out the way, move, you know, you're driving too slow. So there was a cop sitting on the ramp right there, had another passenger stop, a couple stop. I'm in the slow lane where he's on the curve. I'm on the curve in the slow lane. I just drive right by him. You know what I'm saying? Drive right by him. And my sister didn't say anything to me. I guess she didn't know either. So I kept on driving. Next thing you know, maybe a mile into my drive, really? Where he going? So I pulls over. He pulls over. And I'm like, I'm doing 65. I'm getting out the way. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, let me slow down because I'm not speeding. Next thing you know, he pulls up even closer. I'm like, oh, he's stopping me. So I pulls over. I get out the car instantly. I take a picture, click, and had that. I don't do video. I do audio. So I turn the audio on and just let it sit there. And he comes, and I got my headset in. He comes, get to talking to me. He says, license and registration, please. And I said, could you tell me what happened? He goes, I don't have to tell you what happened. I just need your license and registration. I'm like, okay. So me, here, sir. I don't even want no conflict. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I've been on the highway all day. I'm ready to go home. Gave him a license. Didn't want to, gave him everything. He comes back and he goes, did you know you was doing, you drove past me on the ramp? Was I not supposed to drive past you on the ramp? You know, he was like, no. I'm like, so he says, I see you're not from here. I said, no, sir, I'm not from here. No. And he goes, okay. I said, so you're telling me I can't drive along on the same side you're on the ramp if you're pulled somebody else over? He said, no, you need to get over in the other lane and then go by and then get back in the other lane. I said, okay. Sir, did you not see there was two cars driving side by side and another car behind that other car? And we all came around that corner all together. So there was no way for me to even move over because I would have ran somebody else off the road trying to get over. Oh, you're a smart one, aren't you? I said, it was the only logical thing to say. So I was explaining my situation, you know, and then, you know, it then went on and went on and on. He said, I'm gonna give you a warning and just make sure you get over. I said, well, our laws is different in Arizona because we have 5 lanes and a carpool lane. So them things don't apply to us out that way. So then as I get into Peoria and I stay over here in East Peoria, same day at night, 9 o'clock, going to give me something to eat. Taco Bell on Main Street and in East Peoria, Main Street, and the other one that goes down Main Street, Camp Street. Taco Bell, get stopped. Seen the cop sitting over there at Walgreens. I pulls over into, you know, turn down to go to Taco Bell. He comes right up behind me. Boom. I'm like, what I do? License and registration. Here we go again. What the heck? Your tail light's out. Okay. I said, well, I can't get it fixed. It's dark and nothing was open. So what do you want me to do? Oh, you're a smart one, aren't you? I said, sir, that's the only logical thing I need to say to you because that's the explanation. I mean, what you want me to do? He gives me a warning ticket. He said, well, I said, so if I'm going to go get me something to eat, so if I get stopped again, am I going to have to deal with this again, this harassment? Because this is twice today I've been stopped. And he was like, no, I mean, because there's nothing open. You can't change the headlight without there's no place for you to go to get it fixed. I'm like, so you're just going to use my answer, what I used to you to tell me, thank you, sir, on my way. I was like, I can't do this no more, man. But that's what two of my experiences, recent experiences since I've been over here. And by me being over here in East Peoria, you know, I drive pins and needles around here. You know, I go to Kroger's, Walmart, wherever else I need to go, and I'm back. And at nighttime, I try my best, especially now that they closed the bridge down. You gotta go by Hudson up there, what is it, by Michael Bridge or whatever it is, to go there, and they just be sitting there waiting. They sit there and be waiting. I'm like, why? There's nobody doing anything because they know all the traffic has to come through that bridge. And they just sit there and harass people all the time.
Definitely thank you for that, man. Really appreciate it. Now we're going to go ahead and shoot to my girl, Michelle, and then we'll go ahead and get to this topic.
Well, my experiences started out way young. In the 70s, after I watched Roots, what I've learned as now that I'm older is you have a problem with authority, meaning this fear that sets in. So up to date, I would say at about 1996, 97, I was stopped on my way to work on the night shift, working in nursing homes back in the day, and I get pulled over, and it's Martin Luther King celebration, you know? I'll never forget it. And they pulled me over because of a headlight ticket, and apparently, I don't know how I got involved, but this person had used my name. So they had the name, but didn't have the right, you know, social security number or anything. And when I tried to speak my piece, it wasn't well enough, and it was over a headlight ticket. And I was taken in custody, and it wasn't my car, you know, so, but my name was used. And that's one, so that, of course, brings this anxiety up in you. And now, anytime you see sirens, police lights behind you, you become anxious. And with that anxiety, it's your fight or flight kicks in. And so now you're just shaking in your seat because you're trying to prepare yourself with, first of all, what are they going to say to me and what should I say back? Up to today, living in Chicago for 20 years, it's the same thing. You know, you're sitting in the car as a passenger, and the driver, you're trying to speak on their behalf, and they're, shut up, I ain't talking to you. And, you know, again, there's all that rage that tends to come from these officers, but then it gives this, it puts this fear inside of you, and the opposite of fear should be love, but they're not going to come to you in a loving way, you know? And I know it's because of our skin color. So with that being said, I'm tired of being afraid every time a police officer pulls up behind me. And I know that I'm trying to do what's right, all because of my skin color. I have gotten off of work in the suburbs of Chicago, and in the area that I was told that you should not be driving in because you're black and they're going to pull you over. I get off of work. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. You have worked a night shift, and the officer pulls me over. And I had an old style BMW that my dad had given me, but it's a BMW. I am black, and I got a ball cap on. Remember, it must have been a bad hair day or something for me to have a ball cap on. But nevertheless, I get pulled over, and you're shaking in your boots because you don't know if you're going to come out of that situation alive or what. So this is a topic that really needs to be addressed because it is causing black people an issue when it comes to mental health and anxiety and depression and many other factors.
So if you can, Michelle, let's talk a little bit about, like, you know, some of the other things that we're going to talk about in terms of the top 5 factors that we face, and then let's arm these people with some information in regards to what they can do to help, you know, with their own mental health.
Most definitely. So again, we are touching on the mental health in the black community today, and I just wanted to provide with you a definition of what mental health is. Mental health illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or a combination of all of them. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and problems functioning in social, work, and family and activities. And we all know that we come from the hood, and we've grown up with these different disparities our whole life. And even though that we did, and we are ostracized because of our skin color, as all 4 of us have made it according to what made it is here in the America. You know, if you got a decent job, you know, you get a decent job, get an education, you're gonna do all right. Well, the same is, it's not the same for Black Americans. Okay, yeah, we can do that, but we're still looked down upon because of the color of our skin. So again, one of the 5 topics would be racism, religious beliefs, poverty, violence, and lack of provider cultural competency. And it says here on statistics, in 2018, 18.6% of white Americans received mental health services, whereas only 9% of African Americans, and that was in 2018. It's just 2020 now, so a year and a half ago. And so when is this going to change?
Michelle, don't you think some of that, though, comes from the stigma of Black men have to be strong? You can't go talk to someone. That makes you weak. Some of them don't even want to go talk to the pastor. And
Definitely.
the pastor can help you spiritually, but sometimes some of the things you need are mental. And so I think just there's a stigma in the Black community. And we kind of talked before at one time about Roots. Well, right around the same time Roots came out, so did One Flies Over the Cuckoo Nest. So there was this real fear that if they would do something that treacherous or scary to a white man, what could happen to Blacks? So it put a fear in us of going and talking to people about stresses and mental things, depression, those types of things. So
Most definitely, and even in the literature that I had read, going back to the church, we say, oh, just pray about it, Johnny. Don't, oh, God will take care of it. But there's a scripture in the book of James that tells you faith without works is dead. So you can have faith, you can pray, but if you don't rise in your faith and get up and try to bring about a change for yourself, for your community, as we're doing now, then we'll just keep being downtrodden, and that's just not a place for us anymore.
And I can honestly say that is one of the major reasons I definitely want to talk about this, especially from a male perspective, because unfortunately, we're keeping it real. For some Black males, we are looked at as weak. And I can't believe that, you know, you want to go tell these people your business and all that stuff. You know, what happens in this house stays in this house and all those types of things. And unfortunately, sometimes what happens in this house can be detrimental and harmful to the rest of your life. So sometimes that's why people are professionals within these areas. And it is okay to talk to professionals or, you know, pour into professionals about some of the issues and concerns that you have.
Or even just someone that you trust. You do research. That's what it's all about. We have all this different technology out here, and you can Google whatever you want. And that's one thing my daughter does. She don't just say, okay, I'm going just because this is a need that I have right now. No, you can take time and just read over the different people that they have available for you in regards to your resources. We don't have to fight along. And in the Black community, that's what we tend to do. We clam up, we hold stuff in. Then you wonder why there's so much hypertension in the Black community. It's just too much. It's time for us to come together. Like most of the other nationalities that we see, they are cohesive with one another. And because of all of the history, I believe there's a lack of cohesiveness with the Black community. And so we end up not trusting one another and we war against one another, but we weren't meant to be that way. Those are the type of things that has been placed upon us, even going back to slavery, and we're still living with that type of spirit on the land. It's crazy that it is 2020 and we're still fighting racism against Black people.
yeah, and I think that I think where I struggle is that I still live in fear, and I've provided scholarships, I've won awards in the city leadership, and I still sometimes am afraid. And I think that it's very real. And I think that mental health is real. And I think that, like right now with everyone protesting, I've had friends afraid to go protest because they're afraid of what could happen, but they're depressed and they're hurting. And so, I mean, whether it's little things like when I get like that, sometimes I journal, sometimes I go to the gym, and I can't right now. That's another thing. We couldn't go to the gym. I would go to the gym if I was dealing with something and kickbox just to get that aggression out, to find a way to get that negative energy out. And I went to a counselor. So I think that there are things that we can do in the community to help ourselves and until we can go to places that can help us. And I know that you said that you had some good places that people could go, but like 211, if you're in Peoria, call 211. They can help you, whether it's bills you're dealing with, there's stress from unemployment, mental health. They can point you in all of the direction of these community services that can help us.
And what are
I
some of
think
those
one of
other
the
resources, Michelle, that are available that people can connect to help them with some of the issues that they're facing in terms of their own mental health?
Yeah, sure. There's the National Alliance on Mental Health, Mental Illness, and their number is 309-693-0541. And of course, that's right here in the Peoria County area. And we also have a Human Service Center, open 24 hours to whomever may need their help. And it's 309-691-8084. And if I could just add, what helps in regards to our mental state of well-being is how much we take in on social media. I'm one that doesn't watch television, and I haven't watched television in years, 6-7 years. Living in Chicago, there was so much bad news, I just shut it down. Even when it comes to the movies we watch, you know, it makes me think about Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, Dead Presidents. We absolutely love these movies, these films, because that is our people. But the films that tend to shine the most are the ones that have Black people suppressed, Black people killing one another, and we're more than that. We're more than that. So I think how much media, if you're on social media 6 hours a day, maybe you need to cut it down to 2 and stop absorbing all the negativity that's before you that you're watching. I see people on Facebook now are saying, posting like, I'm so emotionally drained. I'm so emotionally, and so this.
I think we lost
Oh, there
Michelle
she go.
for a second,
Okay,
but
there
I
she
think
go.
Really great
The
point,
sleep-
though.
And I think
That was a good point.
She's talked about sleep before too, you guys, and I think that's important, getting that proper amount of rest so
Yes.
that you can shut down and
Invigorate.
energize.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Hey,
Me as
Michelle.
a healthcare, I'm sorry, Rud. Me as a healthcare worker, do I get 8 hours of sleep a night? I try. Sometimes there's an emergency or what, but I make it my point to go to bed at night. Okay. Health and nutrition. Is my diet perfect? No, but you have to try. So mental health is also not just all the things that we're talking about, but it's just your well-being, what you allow into your space, your time, yourself. And your diet plays a role. Hormones, women, men have hormones as well. So certain things you're eating can offset your hormones. So those are things that we will be talking about in the future as well. The way that we deal with stress, whether it's drinking wine like me, or whether it's going shopping, or we need to change the way, because shopping all the time is going to affect your finances. Going out and going to the gambling casino is going to affect your finances. So we have a lot that we can touch on in regards to mental health and how we can help our people. You go ahead, Rhett.
So, Cheryl, do you think that when you had touched on a lot of things as far as being on social media for a certain amount of time, do you think that that it plays a part in reprogramming and conditioning us as being young? And then we didn't have the social media we had back in the day, but we had television and the type of movies we watched. It would condition you to live a certain type of a way. That's the way it should be. That's the norm. But yet and still, everything that's on in the movies is more fictional, fantasy, and drama. But everything is all a make-believe story. But people always look at those
Even
visuals,
reality is
and
make-believe.
Yeah,
Even
and-
reality
well,
TV is fake.
right. But I'm talking about when we were coming up. We didn't have none of all that stuff when we were coming up. So I'm just going off of how it preconditioned all of us prior and now with the social media with the younger kids, and it's conditioned them in a certain way. Oh, this is the norm, because if we do if we had done the things that we see now back then, we wouldn't have to worry about social distancing and all this other stuff, because our parents would have cracked our necks before we even made it to that point,
All right.
in life.
And hold on, I'm gonna bring this all back in because I know we got a lot of these other topics we want to hit on in the near future, and I know unfortunately we're running out of time here, and we're definitely going to hit on all of the different topics that Michelle had to say. So definitely, y'all can see this is a deep one. We couldn't wait to dive into this one, and this is a pretty deep one. So we're definitely going to dive into this one a little bit more. And what were the 5 areas that you said, Michelle? I want to recap those again, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
And Lamar, can we just give a shout out to the Crittenden Center too? Because for people who have children, all these kids have been home with COVID. They have an emergency daycare center, and that's a place where, for any reason, you can drop your children off for a couple hours just to get a break so that you can go and take care of yourself. It's free and it's there for anybody in the community to use.
Okay, what are the others, Michelle?
So again, that list is racism, religious beliefs, poverty, violence, lack of provider cultural competency.
And what are those resources that they can use?
The resources, again, are, as far as getting some help here in the Peoria area. Yes. National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is NAMI, okay? And the phone number there is 309-693-0541. That's in the Peoria Tri-County area. And then you have Human Service Center, Community Crisis Center, 309-671-8084, and they are open 24 hours a day for your assistance.
As you all can see, as a society, we've been tested with many different things through 2020. A lot of people said that they were going to throw 2020 away. I personally believe that the year of 2020 is going to forge us into being some amazing people. Because if we can get through COVID-19, through the unrest in terms of the police brutality that has happened, the protests and the marching, and unfortunately our president with the lack thereof leadership, my personal opinion, I think we're going to be some amazing people coming out of 2020 into 2021. That's just my personal opinion. I hope you all enjoyed this particular episode of Think About It, Black People. We will definitely be uploading this on all of our social media platforms. Erica, you want to go ahead and give them those social media platforms that they can connect to us with those topics?
We're on Think About It, Black People on Facebook. It's the same for Instagram and for Twitter. You can also reach us through thinkabouitblackpeople@yahoo.com. So please reach out to us. Any topics you would like to hear, we're excited to talk about those.
And we have been looking at your topics that you've been sending in. We're taking note of those, and we're going to make sure those are up and coming episodes. Definitely want to thank my amazing team that we put together. This is Voltron, baby. I'm telling you, we are going to change the community with this. So thank you, Shell. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Rut. I'm Lamar. This is Think About It.
Black
people.
And we out.
We out.
Peace.
Rut, you got some music for me, man? Let's get it.
All right.
Take it on out, bro.